Welcome into a new episode of the Fight HQ podcast. Of course, I'm Jason Floyd. That is the fighter Pete Rogers Jr. here to break down UFC Vancouver. Goes down tomorrow. Prelims start 4 p.m. Eastern time. Main card 7 p.m. Eastern time. Of course, the entire fight card will be on ESPN Plus. Coming in here after UFC Rio, Charles Oliveira doing his thing there. In the main event, Davison Figueiredo getting back on the winning ways as well. Pete, how's it going, man?
What's going on? Yeah, I mean, the hometown guys and ladies a part of UFC Rio definitely had some success, and the night was capped off correctly with Charles Oliveira going out there and proving he's one of the best and one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, just, man, what a performance he put on there. You knew once that fight hit the ground, you knew at that point, you knew exactly what was going to happen in terms of that one. But, of course, we move ahead here to UFC Vancouver. We're going to break down all the fights, 13 fights scheduled right now for UFC Vancouver. Always got to say that before, fights scheduled, because we never know what could potentially happen here over the next 24 hours. Weigh-ins have been going on for about the past hour or so. Looks like everyone is going to make weight here for UFC Vancouver. Of course, if you want to get access to all the tools and data that Pete has, you can click that link in the description for his Patreon page. You can check out that. Pete, what can people expect this week?
Yeah, this week is a little tricky, right? Because I'm not having anything really jump off the page. I mean, we have some big fighters with big height and reach advantages. That's really jumping off the page. You got Belgary. You also have Kevin Holland with massive reach and height advantages over their opponents. Also have striking ratio, striking differential, strength of schedule within their last 5, strength of their last 5 wins. And then, looking at the pace of the fight or how fighters pace themselves, and if they're a high-paced fighter or a low-paced fighter. And all in all, man, I'm excited to see if you agree or disagree with me here, because I do find this card a little tricky.
Yeah, it's me and Pete were kind of talking right before we started the show here about some of those underdogs, and kind of a weird underdog week. I mean, also we've got one fighter going up from 170 to 185 pounds. We have another fighter going from 135 all the way down to 115, where she's never competed at 115 throughout her career. So a ton to break down there. Pete, let's get right in and talk about game theory here. As I look at my sheet here, as I have the salaries broken down here, you got 5 fighters in a 9,000 range. And, the fighter that I think probably sticks out to me in this range, and whether you're going to trust him or not, has got to be Danny Barlow, moving up to 185 pounds after starting his UFC run at 170. Last time out, loses to Sam Patterson, and where he was a minus 225 betting favorite in that one. Bakoya's fight is a matchup that you would probably expect plays out on the feet, just because of both their abilities there. But we got a lot of fighters in that 8,000 range that could potentially stick out. And obviously RDR is going to be the one that sticks out in that 8K range.
Yeah, the 8K main event, Reinier de Ridder sticks out, significantly. You have the 9,000 options that as you mentioned, come with some asterisks and some caution, with Park sitting there after dropping the ball against Tatsuya Taira in a massive step up. Now with a tough veteran in Bruno Silva, then you got the 9,200 Danny Barlow, as you mentioned. Drew Dober, of all people, is the highest priced fighter on the entire card. I find that to be somewhat of a head scratcher, despite the level of competition. All in all, it's just really weird. Some weeks I'm in love with the 9,000 options. Other weeks I'm poking holes at it. But I do think you have to start with the main event for me, just because I do expect 5 rounds. We already saw what Reinier de Ridder was able to do against Robert Whittaker in a 5-round decision. And even if it's low volume or not, he's live to find a sub at any time.
That to me is always the concern with RDR, is the low volume that he has there. But we do know that the takedown upside is there. We've seen Brandon Allen get taken down, and I saw an interview with Brandon Allen when he was offered this matchup. Of course, initially this was going to be Fluffy Hernandez in this spot. Fluffy has a pullout due to an injury, and Brandon Allen said, he goes, I got the call. I thought about it for 2 seconds before I said yes. So a big opportunity for him here. There's certain fights I would tell you that I don't know if I really love it from a DFS perspective. I think the bantamweight matchup between Vera and Zahabi is one of those that I just sit there, I look at it from a DFS aspect. If you told me this was 5 rounds, maybe I have a little more interest. I have concerns about Cheeto Vera. Derek over in chat said, did we see Cheeto's left eye bloodshot and swollen? I've not seen how Cheeto looked on the scale, so I'll be checking out here later on today. Then I look at, someone like Manon Fiorot and Double J. We know Double J's path has got to be with the grappling. I don't know how much I really love that one. Nelson Frevola is probably the boom bust fight of the week. Just because of how much trust do you have in Matt Frevola, especially what we've seen happen on his past couple of fights. I think Jourdain Grant may be a sneaky DFS fight, Pete.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an absolute banger. I mean, the Jourdain and Davey Grant just keeps proving Father Time incorrect, and he just goes out there and makes tough fights. Even if he loses decisions, it's really competitive, and he's competitive against high level competition. I mean, the UFC is setting Jourdain up for a spectacular performance over a very tough guy, a Canadian card. You want, Jourdain to really take the opportunity and catapult his career. But, a guy that has, stumbled from time to time. He's live to, oddly enough, pull off submissions with his guillotine jokes, and he's a very aggressive striker. But then once you start trusting him, he'll end up losing a fight or losing a matchup that you thought he had pretty decisively. So, yeah, I mean, I personally think that the Manon Fiorot Jasmine Jasudavicius fight is one that I am going to really look at and circle just from a viewing aspect, because I do think it has the most implications for the division.
Oh, no doubt about it. Manon Fiorot moving her training from overseas to TriStar for this camp. She talked about one of the big reasons why she went there, wanted to work on her striking aspect. We did see a takedown defense hold up against her fight against Shevchenko, which was her last fight. Also, we got some fighters who are competing for the first time in 12 and 13, 14 months on this card. You mentioned about some of the reach advantages we have on this card. We're going to get into all that here. As always, we appreciate everyone tuning in for every episode of the Fight HQ podcast. Of course, you can watch the video on YouTube. Also, you can check out the video and the audio on Spotify. Of course, you can check out the audio over there at Apple Podcasts and iHeart. So be sure to subscribe to the channel however you take in this show, and be sure to hit that thumbs up. That does help us out a ton. Let's get right into the main event. Key matchup in the middleweight division. Potentially, maybe RDR is fighting for a title shot here. Of course, Imavov probably has something to say about that, taking on Brennan Allen. As I mentioned, he was supposed to be taking on Fluffy Hernandez in this spot. Enters this one price at $8,800 on DK, $18 on FanDuel, minus 225 betting favorite for Brennan Allen. He's priced at $7,400 on DK, $12 on FanDuel, and he's a plus 185 betting underdog. One of the notes that I pulled, and this comes from the MMA Reddit channel, and kind of a crazy stat when you think about Pete, is RDR is looking to become only the 8th fighter in UFC history to win 4 or more fights in a calendar year. Of course, we could have ultimately 9 of those guys by the time the end of this year comes, with Marab there fighting in there. Fighting back in December. RDR does have a 3-inch reach advantage in this one. And to me, the stats that stick out to you is, while Brennan Allen has a edge of 3.85 to 2.95 in strikes land per minute, is that takedown average per 15 minutes that sticks out to me, Pete, 2.86 for RDR.
Yeah, so RDR for me, just from an optic standpoint, he looks like a fighter who's really in his prime, and he looks like he's hit a new level since he's been in the UFC. Each fight, he's looked better. I had my doubts. I had my criticisms, but I can't deny it anymore. I think that RDR is absolutely legit, and I don't believe that Brendan Allen is the guy to send RDR back, with a loss. I just don't see it happening. And, Brendan Allen will primarily want to keep this fight on the feet, I would imagine. Look to outstrike RDR. If he does get into a wrestling or grappling exchange, look to stay on top. I don't think that he's going to feel all that comfortable with the heavy top pressure of RDR. The only thing that I can say is that they're both well-rounded. Brendan Allen is definitely the better striker, but RDR striking has improved significantly. I mean, he throws excellent knees up to the middle, throws knees to the body. He's starting to develop his hands so that he's opening up with combinations. He has great judo, good wrestling. He's so damn talented in all areas, and he's massive for the division. I don't really understand how he makes the weight class, but he does. In the height and reach department, RDR has 5 inches. Brendan Allen is 6 years younger. But when I'm looking at like efficiency, I see Reinier de Ridder being much more efficient, being able to go out there and implement his game is what I'm saying. It's like, sometimes Brendan Allen gets a little overzealous and he will fall out of position. He will hunt submissions over positions, whereas I think RDR is so position oriented that it can maybe cap a high score, but you are going to get some control time. You are going to get some really strategic high fight IQ. And that's what I'm going to count on here. I love the price tag. I was really surprised. Me personally, I thought it was going to be like 9,400 RDR, just because I think, he's on another level at this current stage. They've cross-trained before, no problem. But like RDR's had the true preparation for this. Brendan Allen stepped up on, solid notice. But this RDR matchup and this title run that RDR is going on, you can just look and you can see that he's on another level. So outside of getting hit with a big shot, which could happen, I think that RDR is going to get stronger as the rounds go on. And I ultimately think that he's going to finish Brendan Allen. I truthfully do. Whether it's a submission or it's via ground and pound, I think that RDR is way too big. And his defensive skills are something that I think are a little bit better than Brendan Allen. I mean, 47% strike defense for Brendan Allen, 50% for RDR. But when I'm watching them grapple, I just see a different guy, and I see that RDR is just going to be a little too much for Brendan Allen here. And truthfully, I'm going to start my lineups with RDR.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think one of the things we've seen from RDR since coming over to UFC from one championship is just the size difference he has at an 85 as opposed to 205 pounds going against these UFC 85-pound fighters. And, looking at it from the betting side, RDR inside the distance plus 110, plus 450 win by TKO KO, plus 210 by submission. I mean, maybe I don't know if I'd want to chase the decision prop at plus 350. I think if I was going to chase a decision prop on this one, it might be Bruno out, even though I like RDR to go out there and win this matchup. And just kind of like you said, the price tag definitely sticks out to you, only being 8,800. And, one of the things when I was putting my sheet together here, looking at for people who play over at FanDuel, I was like, man, the pricing on FanDuel seems a little soft this week. Just kind of, like instance, we'll talk about the co-main here in a second. They're priced at 15 and 14. Zahabi, Vera priced at 15 and 13. Frevola price is $16, Nelson $13. There is some soft pricing to me this week over on the FanDuel side of the equation, but when we're talking about DraftKings 800, I really do love Reinier de Ridder in this spot. Speaking of Kevin Holland and Mike Malott, they are the co-main event of this card. Kevin Holland, he is priced at $8,000 on DK, $14 on FanDuel, minus 105 on the betting line. Mike Malott priced at $8,200 on DK, $15 on FanDuel. He is at minus 115. This will be the fifth fight for Kevin Holland in 2025. Not really a big shocker in there. Maybe the shocking thing is he's actually not fought since July. This is kind of weird. I mean, he kind of got a full training camp in for this one here. And Kevin Holland, things have not gone great for him in the past 8 fights. He's 3-5 in his last 8 fights. Mike Malott is 5-1 in the UFC. 4 of those 5 wins have come via finish. That one loss, which really he was on his way to a victory against Neil Magny, gets caught there at the end of the fight with just 15 seconds left. But, Pete, you already mentioned about the reach advantage that Kevin Holland's going to have in this one, the 8-inch reach advantage. But to me, you look at their striking numbers, very similar, but it is the takedown aspect that Mike Malott has in this fight, Pete.
Yeah, it's very interesting, this fight, and like the 10 inches in the height plus reach department for Kevin Holland should lead to more success. I I can't trust either one of these guys, truthfully, right? Like I've been burned by Mike Malott, I've been burned by Kevin Holland. I've poked holes in Mike Malott's game, and he keeps going out there and he finds ways to win. He's a prospect that I, for whatever reason, wasn't as high on as the betting market and the public are. Every now and then you get these guys that get steamed to like minus 300 favorites every time that they fight. And I think it goes to show you the respect that people have for Kevin Holland, because this is a pick'em. And it's one where it's leaving me scratching my head. I think the takedowns, as you mentioned, for Mike Malott should be a pivotal and true strategy for Mike Malott to follow. And he's a pretty cerebral guy, pretty smart. I just don't know if he has the conditioning or the gas to, to last with a specific strategy like this. I mean, his takedowns per 15 minutes sits at 2.08 at 56%, which is about three and a half takedowns per 15 minutes. And honestly, he might just need one around, Jason. And Kevin Holland's takedown defense isn't bad by any means. It's pretty average, sitting at 55%. And usually Mike Malott is the guy attempting takedowns, but on the receiving end, Mike Malott's takedown defense sits at 16%. I would love to see these guys grapple, because I would love to see the submission skill set of Kevin Holland, which is very, very slept on, and the power submissions of Mike Malott, the front chokes, the arm triangles, the all chokes that Mike Malott has in his tool belt. So very tricky fight. The D-Rod performance from Kevin Holland most recently is one of the most disappointing performances from somebody that we've all touted. Despite D-Rod throwing ridiculous volume, it wasn't like, Kevin Holland just got picked apart and had no answer. It's that his durability was in question. He got hurt multiple times. And it's something that really made me say to myself, like, wow, I don't know, man. I've always trusted Kevin Holland's chin, and obviously opposite stances, you're going up against a southpaw, makes you get hit by funny angles. And if you're not accustomed to it, you're making mistakes moving into their power hand. And ultimately, I think it was just a tricky stylistic matchup because D-Rod was a southpaw. A big, heavy-handed counter striker in Mike Malott with wrestling and jiu-jitsu skills is kind of more of like what Kevin Holland's accustomed to. But I don't know if I can trust Kevin Holland enough to pull this out. But I'm not flag planting either one. I think it's a pick 'em for a reason. I am going to pick Mike Malott here because I do think that there's a world for him to improve upon his cardio and a world for him to go to, take Kevin Holland to take down City. I legitimately think that's a possibility, but it's one where he has to have the cardio to last the entire time, and not get hurt or chinned or wilt under pressure, similar to how he did against Neil Magny, which is a bad look. And this is one where I could see, like, if there's any chinks in the armor, Kevin Holland will find them and expose them for you. But I mean, Kevin Holland's been tapped multiple times on the mat, and like his willingness and his motivation seem to really fluctuate from fight to fight. So I'd much rather, at a pick 'em odd, get to Mike Malott, who's traditionally a heavy favorite, than get burned by Kevin Holland again. So I will lean towards Mike Malott, but it is a close fight.
The takedown upside of Mike Malott is what really convinces me to get to him here. I think the only concern I would have is, could he potentially get caught on the ground with something where Kevin Holland pulls something off his back? I mean, that to me is the only concern. But from a DFS perspective, that's where I do like the Mike Malott, because of that takedown upside. And I would tell you, I think the Mike Malott decision prop at plus 400 is probably the prop in this fight that intrigues me the most. I mean, obviously, I think if you can get some plus money on some over rounds, maybe look at that there as well. Next up, we got a bantamweight matchup between Marlon Vera and Aiemann Zahabi. Zahabi priced at $8,500 on DK, $15 on FanDuel. He is a slight betting favorite here at minus 130. Vera priced at $7,700 on DK, $13 on FanDuel. He's a plus 110 betting underdog. And we have not seen Vera in 14 months since that loss there against Davis and Figueroa. That was back in August of last year. 1-3 in his last 4 fights against the top competition. One thing you do got to note about Vera, all of his UFC losses, he has 9 UFC losses. They've all come via decision here. And Aiemann Zahabi on the other side probably has one of the quietest 6-fight winning streaks in the UFC. I don't know how many people would realize he has won 6 in a row. I mean, the last fight, very questionable. You could maybe make the case a little hometown scoring there for him there with that win there against Jose Aldo. The striking numbers are similar. Look, neither one of these guys are really shooting for a takedown. But Pete, we always talk about with Chito Vera, the thing that scares the living crap out of you is the guy just doesn't win the first round.
Yeah, he doesn't. He really gives away the first round like at an extremely high clip. This is another fight where I got two fighters I just don't trust, and I don't trust Marlon Vera in like as of recently because yes, he's fought the top competition, but just the eagerness. Where is it? It's gone. It's something that he could find, by taking some time off. But like Aiemann Zahabi's a guy that I legitimately did not think was going to stay in the UFC for a while at all. I thought that he was going to be gone. But he's put together a very quiet win streak, and he's very efficient, and he's got the best strategist and coach in the world out there, like to help him prepare for fights. So I think that they are going to know that they can just do enough in round one because Marlon Vera is not going to come out aggressive. And if he does, then that would really throw a wrench in the plans. But I think that Aiemann Zahabi can be so smart about it where it's just like, all right, we know that the volume and the dangers of Marlon Vera, and we're going to negate it. We're going to go out there with a very smart game plan and kind of dance around and put up a dud as far as DFS is considered. So 8,500, I basically have no interest in Aiemann Zahabi. I just don't think that he's going to find a finish, and I don't think that he scores all that well. If I'm going to pick an underdog, I mean, if I'm going to pick anybody in this fight, I can see Marlon Vera winning a decision. I could also see him potentially hurting Aiemann Zahabi because it's not like Marlon Vera isn't skilled. Marlon Vera also is very sneaky in the jiu-jitsu department. And when he gets going or he smells blood, I like how he fights. But as far as just like getting a fighter at 8,500 in Aiemann Zahabi to score you 70 points, it's not necessary. I mean, he knocked out Aoriqileng in round one, scored 102, knocked out Rodriguez, scored 103. Outside of that, I don't see him knocking out Marlon Vera. So he's a big pass for me for DFS. And if I'm wrong, I'll be very surprised. But as far as DFS, I'd rather just play the underdog to hope that he can win 2 rounds or potentially surprise everybody with finishing Aiemann Zahabi. But 7,700 for a guy that's fought the top competition, I'm fine with just using him as a value play. But I still think Aiemann Zahabi wins the fight.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a DFS perspective, I really don't like either fighter. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe you just play the ownership game because I would expect that both of them will have a little ownership, especially on the Aiemann Zahabi side of the equation. With Marlon Vera, I mean, the thing that scares the crap out of you is, okay, yeah, maybe he can get a third round finish, but it's just, to me, it's the slow starts that we see from him and him constantly going back. If this was a 5-round fight, maybe I have a little more interest in getting to a Chito Vera or even an Aiemann Zahabi, but for me, it's going to be a pass on the situation. I mean, like on the betting side of this, I mean, there's no value. I mean, there's just no value. I mean, Aiemann Zahabi win via decisions plus 105. I'm not playing that. I'm just not. I'm not going to, I'm looking for some juicy props out there in this fight. Maybe do you think Chito Vera is, maybe we're on the backside of the career and then maybe Aiemann Zahabi goes out there, can win inside the distance? Yeah, you could chase that plus 800 number. But yeah, for me, DFS betting, this fight is just a pass for me. Next up, we got a female matchup, big matchup here in the 125-pound division. Manon and Double J here. Double J, price is 7,300 DK, $11 on FanDuel. She is a plus 190 betting underdog. Fiorot on their side, she's priced at 8,900 DK, $17 on FanDuel, and minus 235 betting favorite. The big note, you may have seen some of the quotes that she had earlier this week talking about moving her training to TriStar for this camp, or talking about working on the striking aspect of her game here. Of course, this is her first fight since losing to Shevchenko back in May. Her past 6 fights have all gone to decision. Double J on the other side, she's won 5 straight, 7-1 in her last 8. She's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage, but like if you're looking to play her, Pete, your thought process has got to be that she's going to be able to score takedowns, and I just don't know if that happens.
Yeah, it's a tricky fight because I love Jasmine Jasudavicius, and I also really like Manon Fiorot. Manon is a very, very big fighter for the very strong, I should say, for the division, and she has phenomenal takedown defense. Um, I don't think people understand how hard it is to corral Manon Fiorot because she utilizes very good footwork, good long ranged attacks to keep her opponents at bay. She fights for underhooks at an extremely high level. But if you are able to get a hold of her and say you do put her on her back, I do see some susceptibility there where Jasmine Jasudavicius can really shine. Ultimately, early in the Manon Fiorot fight against Shevchenko, she got hurt pretty bad with a shot and was affected with the rest of the fight due to the damage. And I think the optics of it made Manon look like she was. I mean, she didn't put together the strong performance I thought she was going to. And when she was grounded, I did see openings and like not mistakes necessarily, but like she doesn't look the same as when she is up on her feet. If Jasmine gets her down, Jasmine is very vicious with ground and pound, with her front chokes, the way that she really goes out there and tries to put it on you. I love it. It's just, can Jasmine Jasudavicius corral her or get her down? Because on the feet, I think that she's completely at a disadvantage. And one which is similar and kind of reminiscent to the Natalia Silva fight that Jasmine Jasudavicius had, years back. But still, I don't know. I think that Manon's in a spot here where Jasmine has a big name. And yes, Jasmine is, um, you know, within her home country, but I think that Manon can easily just like remind everybody how damn good she is by kind of being the matador while Jasmine is trying to be the bull and bulldoze her down to get on top of her. So as much as I would love to see Jasmine Jasudavicius win here, I like Jasmine more than I like Manon Fiorot, but I respect the skill set of Manon enough to be hesitant to like back Jasmine. I think that I wouldn't cross Jasmine off from DFS just because if she does get Manon down, that is her world and one where she could put a lot of hurt on her opponent. But I think the majority of the fight is going to be left standing where she's going to be at a disadvantage. And each round is going to be restarted, on the feet. So Jasmine, let's say even one round, she has success getting her down and putting damage or putting her in some compromising situations. Now she's going to have to replicate that. And we saw Manon already face some adversity in the Shevchenko fight, and she passed, in my opinion. So I'm back in Manon Fiorot here, and I think this is a y'all must have forgot moment where at minus 230, I think she goes out there at 8,900 and kind of pieces up Jasmine Jasudavicius.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a DFS perspective, I don't mind getting to Double J in this situation just because of if she's able to get that fight to the ground. You also kind of wonder, Fiorot, 35 years old, or, kind of where she's at with her career here. And I think changing up training really kind of shows you exactly where she's kind of thought leading into this one. Next up, we've got Cody Gibson taking on Aoriqileng. Cody Gibson, he's priced at A600 on DK, $16 on FanDuel, a minus 180 betting favorite. Aoriqileng, price at 7,600 on DK, $12 on FanDuel. He is at a plus 150 betting underdog in this one. Gibson, of course, this is a second stint in the UFC, now 2-3 in his second stint. He has 2-fight winning streak snapped back in May. The loss there to Damon Blackshear. Aoriqileng, we have not seen him in 13 months since that decision loss to Raul Rosas Jr. But when you look at the strikes land per minute, it's Aoriqileng 4.65, 3.61. But if you got to think about Cody Gibson, and I think for me, I always think about Cody Gibson this way: as I think about the wrestling upside that he does have, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, Jason, what happens is I feel really confident about somebody, and then they end up being like, I get way too overexposed on them. And for whatever reason, the one person I'm so confident on just drops the ball. So I'm nervous to say that I'm very confident in Cody Gibson because I thought that he would be like minus 200. I on my sheet have minus 175 for Gibson, plus 145 for Aoriqileng, according to DraftKings Sportsbook. And I think that the pace of the fight is a solid pace to target. I thought that Cody Gibson has been looking very interesting from a DFS standpoint because he went out there against Damon Blackshear and had a very good round early on. Even in round two, like he was having moments, and Damon was a pretty damn big favorite, and he's very dangerous. And then Cody ended up getting submitted, but up until that, I was like, hell yeah, like I like what I'm seeing from Cody Gibson, like volume striking, volume attacks of good wrestling attempts. I mean, 2.13 takedowns per 15 minutes with 37% accuracy is about 5.7 attempted per 15 minutes. And yes, Aoriqileng can wrestle, but I trust the wrestling of Cody Gibson more, and I trust just the variety. I like the way that he blends everything together, whereas Aoriqileng is punching or Aoriqileng is wrestling. There's no blending the styles and going back and forth. So for me, 8,600, like Cody Gibson, I'm looking at this slate, Jason, where I have concerns of all the fights we talked about, right? Malott, Holland, Zahabi, Vera, Fiorot, Jasudavicius. And I'm like, I might make a stand on Cody Gibson. And I could be wrong. I mean, I just feel pretty damn confident that he's going to go out there. And yes, Aoriqileng is tough, but Aoriqileng is a guy that I've been pretty good at picking when he's going to do well. And this is one where I think that he gets punched a decent amount. Um, I don't know. I mean, 48% striking defense for Aoriqileng compared to Cody Gibson's 57%. I mean, both nothing amazing. And 58% takedown defense for Aoriqileng. So yeah, I'm gonna go kill Cody Gibson here, and I'm feeling pretty damn confident and more confident about it the more I think about it. So I'm not sure if you agree with me, but I like Cody Gibson here over Aoriqileng.
Yeah, I don't blame you for the pick. I mean, I think more times than not, Cody Gibson and even I think Aoriqileng on the other side wins via decision this one. If Cody's able to get those takedowns, rack up some points, that's where you do like it from a DFS perspective. But Aoriqileng may not be a guy I wouldn't mind taking a little chance on in terms of DFS. Maybe catches Cody Gibson coming in. Next up, we got a matchup between Kyle Nelson and Matt Frevola. Kyle Nelson, he is priced at $7,900, $13 on FanDuel. He is a -1. He's -105 on the betting lines. Frevola priced at $8,300 on DK, $16 on FanDuel. He's at -115. Of course, Kyle Nelson has 3-fight winning streak snapped 13 months ago. That was that first round loss to Steve Garcia. And also first fight for Matt Frevola in 13 months. He's coming off back-to-back TKO losses here. And, one of the things I did want to check out to see if Frevola had done most of his camp, whether it was here in the Tampa Bay area or up in New York and New Jersey with Ray Longo. He's done majority of it there up with Ray Longo. And, the one thing, Pete, for me, when it comes to Matt Frevola, I mean, he's going to be my pick to win this fight. But what always concerns me is will that chin hold up? And also, will he lace up them wrestling shoes?
Yeah, I mean, I would love it if Frevola was lacing up the wrestling shoes. I mean, this is a guy in Kyle Nelson. I mean, I don't even think I realized how much I don't trust the majority of this card until we start talking about it. But like Kyle Nelson, a guy, another one that I just historically picked against, and then he kind of came into his own, and he put together some solid performances where we probably all picked against them. He's a big guy that struggled to make featherweight consistently. So I think the move up is necessary and the older you get. And he has power. He's pretty physical, but his cardio is something that as the fight goes on, it starts to taper off. Matt Frevola, a guy that's kind of built within this lightweight division. He's got really heavy hands. Was going tit for tat with Drew Dober. He also has good wrestling in his back pocket as showcased throughout his entire career. It's just, will he go to it? And will he go to it without getting hurt or put in a submission? I do trust Matt Frevola way more than I trust Kyle Nelson. But the chin of Matt Frevola from time to time, it survives one battle and then in another one against a least, dangerous striker, he's getting hurt. So 2.39 takedowns per 15 minutes for Matt Frevola, 39% takedown accuracy, sits at 6.12. You have Kyle Nelson with 1.06 takedowns per 15 minutes with 20% accuracy. That sits at 5.3 takedowns attempted. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, Frevola is in the driver's seat of the wrestling exchanges. I think they're both pretty damn physical, though. And Frevola might be a little surprised at how physical Nelson is, but the grinder of the two is clearly Matt Frevola. And I'm going to pick him here. This is essentially a pick 'em. 8,300 Matt Frevola. I'm gonna take my chances. I'm not gonna cross off Kyle Nelson because he's proven me wrong time and time again. And I think that it is a winnable matchup if you can land a bomb on Matt Frevola. So I will lean Frevola, but I do think Nelson is live.
Yeah, I'm with you in terms of your analysis on that one. I don't know if you're going to feel great whether you're rostering this fight or whether you're placing a bet on this fight. But to me, Frevola is the guy that I would bet here. And I kind of like that the inside the distance prop on him at plus 165 in terms of this one. But I do want I think if you're going to be a Frevola backer, I think the thing that you're hoping for is that he's going to lace up them wrestling shoes, especially after what's happened in his previous two matchups. Next, we got a bantamweight matchup between Charles Jourdain and Davey Grant. Jourdain, he's priced at $8,700 DK, $17 on FanDuel, minus 170 betting favorite. Davey Grant, on the other side, he's priced at $7,500 on DK, $12 on FanDuel, plus 140 on the money line for him. Of course, we saw Jourdain make his bantamweight debut 11 months ago, a successful bantamweight debut against Victor Henry. Was supposed to fight back in June against Ricky Simon, had to pull out of that fight due to an eye injury. Dave Grant on the other side, he's won back-to-back fights in 4-1. In his last 5, he has gone the distance in 3 straight matchups here. And this could be, Pete, I just, just from a someone who loves to watch combat sports, I think this could be a very fun fight.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really fun fight as well. I mean, you have Jourdain 10 years younger than Davey Grant, 1 inch in the height plus reach department. You talked about the weight class changes. So I am worried, not really worried. I am intrigued to see how Jourdain is against a guy that's been a tough out for a lot of people. Tough out for Adrian Yanez, tough out for Daniel Marcos, tough out for you name it. Davey Grant's been in there with wars and been in there with tough guys, and they may have beaten him or edged him out, but you do know that you've been in a fight with Davey Grant until the final bell. I mean, he'll hit you with even some tricky submissions that kind of out of left field against Rafael Sunsao. But like Jourdain is a guy that I think is primed to really come in here and set the card on fire. And I don't know why I'm feeling that way because, I mean, I understand how matchmakers and promotions work. I think it's a very interesting and exciting matchup, but it's winnable. And it is winnable. And Jourdain's a guy that hits really hard. He also should have the wrestling and grappling advantage over Davey Grant. Yes, Davey Grant's got some submission skills to him, but I do think that Jourdain, he might be way too strong for Davey Grant. And I mean, I am triple checking right now. I cannot believe that this really is at 135 pounds. And you did mention it, but that might make me pick Charles Jourdain. And I know the data that I'm looking at has this modeled really closely because the striking ratio for both of them are very similar. Jourdain sits at 1.27, whereas Davey Grant sits at 1.38. The pace of the fight for each fighter, the fighter pace of Jourdain sits at 5.06, Davey Grant at 5.58. The efficiency rating sits at 2.43 for Jourdain and 2.82 for Davey Grant. So, I mean, I just named 3 things that favor Davey Grant. But I think that's because of the competition at 145 pounds that Jourdain's been facing. I also think that Jourdain has that extra pop that a lot of these other guys at the bantamweight division don't have. So, yeah, I mean, I think that Davey Grant is a live underdog, especially because the data does like Davey Grant. But I really think that this is a spot set up for Jourdain to succeed. And you know that his brother has, put together a great performance and been signed to the UFC. So I think that they I don't know, like Davey Grant's gotta be on his last fight or two. I've been saying that for a very long time, and it just hasn't happened. Whereas Jourdain has some of the best moments of his career left. So I'm gonna pick Jourdain. I'm not gonna cross off Davey Grant because there are a lot of things that favor him here. But I do think that at 8,700, Jourdain is in a nice, interesting spot, similar to like a Cody Gibson.
Yeah, I just think stylistically, I think this could be a really fun fight. Wouldn't surprise me this ends up being fight of the night, but I do think I do favor Charles Jourdain in this matchup. And looking at some of the props over there, Jourdain via decision plus 165. I'd almost be kind of tempted to maybe look at that TKO prop at plus 450 on Jourdain. Maybe gets a late stoppage against there, gets Davey Grant. Next up, we got Silva taking on Park here. Park price at $9,000 on DK, $19 on FanDuel, minus 250 betting favorite. Bruno Silva on the other side, price is $7,200 on DK, $11 on FanDuel. He's a plus 200 betting underdog. Bruno Silva has lost back-to-back fights, but look, it's against the top of this division, and Manel Kopp and Joshua Van. Both of those losses, by the way, were third round TKOs. He does have 4 wins in the UFC. They've all come via finish. And Park on the other side, coming off that short notice replacement matchup against Tar that you mentioned about a little bit earlier in the show back in August. All 3 of his UFC wins have come via finish here. And strike lands per minute, take that average per 15 minutes, Pete. They're pretty similar for both of these guys.
Yeah, very similar. And the one thing that is a little different, though, is the strikes absorbed. Like Silva gets hit a lot, so his strikes absorbed sits at 4.81, whereas Park sits at 2.94. So because of that, the striking ratio significantly favors Park. 1.24 for Park, 0.79 for Silva. But if you are looking at significant strikes landed, I mean, 3.66 for Park, 3.83 for Silva, but I think that doesn't necessarily tell the entire story. Silva's hittable. Silva does have a mean right hand, but if you watch a lot of Silva fights, he's getting beaten and bloodied up until he fires and lands that missile overhand right. He has great wrestling. I do think that his jiu-jitsu and his wrestling is somewhat slept on for the division, but I think that Parks is cleaner. Parks is kind of what he goes to more often. Park is a little bit more efficient in that area, whereas like Silva will spam some takedowns to ride out and get some control time. But I think that Park gets takedowns and looking for finishes. So, I mean, this is a spot where like Park was, some people may say fraud check by Tatsuro Taira, but that's a significant step up in competition. The opportunity of a lifetime, camp or no camp, go in there, see how you do against one of the best fighters within the division. And yeah, he got smoked. He got absolutely smoked, but that doesn't mean that I'm like down on him going forward. He got hurt, he got rocked, he got finished, he got completely dominated. But I don't think that Silva is going to be able to do the same to him. Now, I will say that this division is a competitive division. So getting to a 7,200 Silva, totally okay with it. Totally okay with it because you don't know the confidence of Park. You now have some tape of Park struggling. So you Silva and his team should be looking to piggyback off of that and test those same areas to see if he's made improvements or not. But I do think that Park is going to learn from that experience with Tatsuro Taira. Almost like when a guy or a fighter has a title fight, and after that title fight, even if they lost, I like them going forward because the experience you gain out of a difficult matchup is something that you cannot put your finger on. So give me Park here. And I think that is at 9,000, as a minus 250 favorite. I like him. Just because I know how hittable Bruno Silva is. Mm-hmm. And I think this could be a back and forth type of fight, but one where Park edges it out or one where Park, gets his hands raised, more decisive as the fight goes on.
You look at the decision prop for Park here, plus 225 to win via decision. Of course, obviously a lot better number than the minus 250. My concern just is 9,000 is ultimately just paying off the price in terms of that one. Next up, we got a middleweight matchup, Barlow versus Santos. Danny Barlow moving up to 185 pounds after having 3 fights in the UFC at 170 pounds. Price at $9,200 DK, $20 on FanDuel. He's a minus 300 betting favorite. Santos on the other side, price at $7,000, $10 on FanDuel. He is at plus 240 in this one. And of course, the last time we saw Barlow, he was a minus 225 betting favorite against Sam Patterson. Goes out there and gets stopped in that matchup back in March. Santos on the other side lost his UFC debut back in March against Ozzy Diaz. He is an American top team product. Barlow will have a 4-inch reach advantage. And, I think when I was looking at the strikes landed per minute, I didn't want to take too much of a thought process out of that because Santos only has one fight. I mean, but these are guys who do like to throw some bombs.
Yeah, I mean, this fight is going to be crazy. Danny Barlow, a guy that has missed weight in the past, maybe he's been struggling to make the weight. So the bump up in the weight class, yes, it's 15 pounds in the bump, but maybe it's deserved. Like he needs to be at that weight. Maybe he was really straining himself, cutting down that low, maybe getting that low zapped some of his energy. Maybe it deteriorated his chin to a point to absorb a shot. I mean, granted, he was doing just fine, and Sam Patterson is damn talented and so underrated. So I don't really hold that performance over his head too negatively. I think that this is a much easier matchup. Santos is extremely hittable, a guy that had a back and forth war with Ozzy Diaz, and a guy that's been hit 5.87 times per minute compared to Danny Barlow's 3.7 times. So the striking ratio favors Danny Barlow, 1.5 to 1.2. Danny Barlow also being a southpaw, throwing a missile left hand, and just being out of range. I mean, the striking differential for Barlow sits at 1.92 and 1.33 for Santos. So, I mean, this is an elusive boxer against a puncher or against a brawler, and I just don't see a path to victory over for Santos other than catching Danny Barlow or Danny Barlow's chin not being there, and he's just too small for the division. But I just don't think so. I think that the speed, the accuracy, the precision of Danny Barlow within his boxing and within his striking in general should really pick apart Jourdain Santos here. So I'm going to go with Danny Barlow. I think the price is warranted. I know that it is a step up in step up in a weight class that he's unfamiliar with, and it is not a 10-pound jump. I mean, it's a 15-pound jump, but I do think that when he goes into a division that is a little less athletic, his hands are going to shine. It might be one of the best decisions he's made. So give me Danny Barlow here.
One of the things that I haven't had a chance to look at yet, but it is going to be something I'll be looking at particularly tonight and tomorrow, is the Barlow wins over 1.5 rounds. Maybe thinking, hey, you're up a division. Maybe you're not as reckless as you were at 170, something I'll be paying attention to in terms of that one. Next up, you got Prepolec taking on Dober. Kyle Prepolec, he is priced at 6,800 DK, $8 on FanDuel, plus 325 betting favorite. Dober on the other side, priced at 9,400 DK, $22 on FanDuel. He is a minus 450 betting favorite in that. Prepolec returned to UFC back in May for a short notice fight and got destroyed by Benoit Saint Denis. Overall 0-3 in the UFC. Dober on the other side, he's lost 3 in a row, all via stoppage, and 2 coming in the opening round. We do have a massive difference in strikes landed per minute in this one, Pete. Drew Dober 4.36, Kyle Prepolec at 2.87. And I think really the question becomes is, how much do you trust a 9,400 Drew Dober, even though you very well know he could go out there and win by knockout in the opening round?
Yeah, I mean, the true UFC vet should go out there and win. And yes, Prepolec's, been in and out of the UFC. But Dober's got a ridiculous amount of UFC experience against top end competition. I don't think Dober's really looked the greatest as of recent. So I don't really understand the line at 9,400. I think it's mainly about how many UFC fights this guy have, how many UFC fights this guy have. And, I think just the name value that Dober carries is what's kind of ballooning his betting line of minus 440 at 9,400 for a guy with a big chin, but one that is deteriorating, big power, and limitations on the ground. So you just got to be very careful and pick your spots. I think that Prepolec could pose some issues, even standing with Drew Dober, just by landing a big shot. So, I mean, I'm not crossing off Prepolec from like a dart throw situation, but I do think that the Muay Thai and the kickboxing of Drew Dober and the fact that he is a southpaw, I think that, he can give Prepolec some issues. And Prepolec's a guy that, he's in the UFC. He's got, 27 professional fights, but I don't know. I'm not all that impressed. The one thing that I don't understand is like 9,400 Drew Dober going up against Prepolec, everybody thinking he's going to knock him out, and Prepolec has yet to be stopped via strikes, whether KO or TKO, in his professional career. So, I think Dober puts on a kickboxing clinic, and maybe Prepolec has some moments, but I mean, he does have the power to knock out Prepolec, so let's not act like it's impossible. But I'm just gonna pass on the price tag. I like some other fighters at that price tag. Like for me personally, I mean, I'd rather take a shot on a precision type of sniper in Danny
Mhm.
Barlow, who, yes, he's going up in weight, but he is going up against a very, very hittable foe. So I mean, I'll let other people take the Drew Dober chalk or Drew Dober, pick, but I'm just gonna say that Dober wins. But I'm not gonna cross off Prepolec from a dart throw situation.
What I found interesting when I was putting together my spreadsheets with the various from the DFS salaries and the betting props is and this is at least this is at my book. Maybe it's different at other people's books. Drew Dober inside the distance minus 120. Okay, makes sense. Drew Dober wins by TKO KO plus 115.
What the hell? That makes no sense at all. You better help on that. Yeah, like that's some discrepancy. That makes zero sense.
Like to me, like from a betting perspective, if I'm betting Drew Dober, it's Drew Dober wins by TKO KO, and then maybe I get a little crazy and start looking at some round props in terms of that one. Maybe it depends on how good of a college football betting day it's been, how much I might be chasing a little bit there. But to me, from a DFS perspective, I think it's either you take Dober or you pass on the fight. That's just kind of my thought. I mean, but there's very reasons to have some doubts in Drew Dober just because of what we've seen in his past couple of matchup. Next up, we got a strawweight matchup. Luciano taking on Oliveira. Oliveira did make weight at 115 and a half a little while ago. She has got going down not one but two weight classes. I went and looked on Tapology. I did not find a fight where she has ever competed at 115 in the past. She's only competed at 125 and 135. She did lose her UFC debut 12 months ago against Lisboa. Of course, we'll talk about Lisboa here in a moment. Luciano 1-1 in the UFC. Both of them are decisions. She's coming off a loss against Sam Hughes. And the strikes landed per minute for Luciano does stick out to you at 5.36, but of course, it is a very small sample size beat.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but like I like Luciano a lot. And, we've watched her on the Contender Series multiple times now. We watched her face Talita Alencar twice. The first one was a draw in the Contender Series and picked up her first win. I mean, like this girl, Stephanie Luciano, she's good. She's much better than Ravena Oliveira. I just have to tell you, I don't think that Oliveira is all that great. Not even sure if she's UFC level. I think that Luciano should go in here and just destroy Oliveira standing up. Honestly, I think she could do whatever the hell she wants. Oliveira may look to take her down, but I think that Luciano dealt with Talita Alencar, who shot about 50 takedowns between two fights. So, I mean, Oliveira should have nothing on the feet for Luciano, and I don't think that Luciano gets put on her back and stays there. So, Luciano is a chalk win, in my opinion. But does she score well? I'm not entirely sure if she's going to score the greatest. But like at 9,300, sometimes you'd be surprised. I mean, I got no faith in Ravena Oliveira. So, Luciano in the past, she scored 73.9 against Talita Alencar. And even in a loss against Sam Hughes, she scored 43.9. So, I mean, I legitimately might. It didn't work out last week. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago when I picked Veronica Hardy and I put her in like
2 weeks
150?
ago.
Yeah, I
2 weeks
put her in
ago.
150 mile lineups, and then she decided to just like barely skate by and win. Really, really just aggravating, but that was such a winnable matchup and one where that girl had no business even making it competitive. This is a similar situation where I like Luciano a lot. And I remember watching her on the Contender Series and saying, I'm impressed. I like it. She's got that dog. Even if she gets taken down, even if she, isn't the
Mhm.
greatest on the mat, she does get back to her feet and she just is dog tough. So give me Luciano here at 9,300.
And very well could definitely be the leverage play in the 9,000 range where people are just not going to be getting her because of her being priced at 9,300. Me looking more to get to Barlow and also Dober in that equation. And then we move up to the 185-pound division. You got Bagoyev going up here, the American top team product, taking on Belgroy, of course, training partner with Alex Bahia. They are former foes that had 3 fights in kickboxing. Also, he had 2 matchups against Izzy, now training there with him and Glover. He's priced at $7,100 on DK, $11 on FanDuel, plus 270 betting underdog. Bakoyev, $9,100 on DK, $19 on FanDuel. He's a minus 350 betting fair. Right before the show, I was watching the interview that Bakoyev did with MMA Junkie, where basically saying he's only in the his opponent's only in the UFC because Alex got him in there. Of course, Bakoyev is 2-0 in the UFC. Both those are first round finishes in terms of, but Pete, he's going to be at a 7-inch reach disadvantage in this one.
Yeah, I mean, and then if you combine the height and reach, I mean, it's a 12-inch reach and height disadvantage. So, I mean, Bokoyev needs to go out there, and yes, he can strike. He can strike really well. But against Belgari, he needs to chain takedowns together. And that's what you're doing against a high-level striker and against a very talented kickboxer, one who has fought some of the best kickboxers out there. Why stand and bang? I mean, you can't force these guys to go out there and implement, strategy or implement the path of least resistance. But I mean, that's what the coach's job is for. That's what a training camp is for, to really just hammer home how you're fighting this guy. So you go out there on autopilot and you do it. You don't go out there and you think, because when you're thinking under the lights, man, it's too late. So Bakoyev needs to go out there and just grapple immediately. And I think he makes this fight easy. As long as he keeps it standing, you are opening the door to get knocked out. You're opening the door to get uppercutted, get kneed up the middle, Belgari to defend a takedown, elbow you in the side of your head as you're attempting a double leg. I mean, like little stupid shit. So I'm going to pick Bakoyev until he gives me a reason to not really trust him. And I'm not going to pick Belgari in his UFC debut against a very talented, well-rounded mixed martial artist who has a ton of MMA experience, 20-3, whereas Belgari is 8-3. So give me the MMA vet, if you will, in Bukoyev to go out there and actually be smart and take down Belgari.
Yeah, I mean that way you would have to imagine that as the American top team game plan here. You got to imagine their thought process is, hey, let's not go stand with the kickboxer, who by the way has a 7-inch reach advantage on you. Go down there, lace up the wrestle shoes, and take this matchup to the ground there. Then your opening fight of the night is a female matchup. Cronin take on Lisboa. Lisboa priced at $8,400 DK, $14 on FanDuel. She's a plus 105 betting underdog. Cronin $7,800 on DK, $13 on FanDuel. She's at minus 125. It is her UFC debut. First fight in 12 months for her. Last fight coming in LFA. Lisboa coming off a loss in May against Luciano Santos. She's now 2-1 in the UFC. Of course, we have no stats on Melissa in this one, but when you look at Lisboa, not great volume, Pete. 1.68 strikes landed per minute, 1.53 takedown average per 15 minutes of fighting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not big on either fighter, truthfully. I think this is a very low-level fight. I mean, Tainara Lisboa, a fighter that I don't know, man. She's got a ton of striking experience, but refuses to strike. I mean, you're a striker and you land 1.68 significant strikes landed per minute. Kind of crazy. Went out there and implemented takedowns early. And I don't know, Jason. I'm not really big on Lisboa. And I know that Croden at least is going to have some hometown advantage from a crowd aspect. Maybe the hunger and the desire to go out there and perform against a very very Canadian crowd. So like I don't know, like go out there. The locals sometimes rise to the occasion, and I think that Croden is a dog on the feet, and she will throw. So despite Lisboa having these accolades about her striking, she's going to be the one looking to take her down. I personally think, and then like I think Croden could go out there and outstrike the kickboxer. So yeah, I'm gonna lean a little bit into the underdog because of the unknown and the volatility. Because for what I saw from Tainara Lisboa, I mean, yeah, you took down Jessica Rose Clark and you subbed her. All right. I mean, that's interesting. But why are we taking people down if you are such a striker, like so much? Even in her second UFC fight against Ravena Oliveira, she took down Ravena, and she had 6 minutes of control time. She also got controlled for 5 minutes. And this is a situation where like I watch that fight and I say, like, why can't Croden get on top? Why can't Croden implement a takedown? Why can't Croden put Lisboa on her back? And why can't this be a back and forth fight where Croden's looking to land the damage and Lisboa is shooting for her life? Because I'm looking at all these fights, and the girl just wants to grapple. So give me the girl that wants to fight. Give me Croden here as an underdog at 7,800.
Yeah, I was thinking about the underdog in this situation as well. Of course, if you got any questions on the fights, be sure to line those up in the chat right now, whether it's right here on YouTube or if it's in our Discord channel. Of course, a link to that Discord channel is in the link of this show. Let's get into our straight up fight picks. The main event, I'll go RDR.
Yeah, I'm going RDR.
I'll go Malott due to the wrestling.
Malott.
I'm going to go Zahabi, but I think it's a pick'em fight. I really do.
Yeah, agree. I'm going to say Zahabi.
I'll go Fiorot because I think she keeps it on the feet.
Fiorot?
Give me Gibson because of the wrestling.
Yeah, I like Gibson. And like I said, sometimes when I say that, be careful.
Yeah. I'll go Frevola.
Frevola.
Jourdain.
Jourdain.
I was thinking Silva, but hearing you kind of take it down, I think you've convinced me that Park is the right play here.
I think so, but I mean, it is a competitive division. But yeah, give me Park.
Give me Barlow.
Barlow.
Dober. Luciano. Bagoyev. Croden. I'm Chalk City this week, but
me too.
I would say this: like, if you ask me of like who are the favorite underdogs for me,
yeah,
I might put Kevin Holland in there, maybe thinking he catches Malott on the ground. I mentioned about Aoriqileng. Maybe Davey Grant just outstrikes him.
Yep. How about Marlon Vera to win a slow-paced decision? I mean, like it's honestly on the table.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Marlon Vera and I just wonder, like, even in a win, does he get 75 points?
Well, say it's chalky, right, Jason? Say it's all chalk. And then, like, he's the one lone freaking underdog that, or the second underdog that actually came through. So, score-wise, it doesn't even matter,
Yeah, I mean, the one underdog from a DFS perspective that sticks out to me is Double J. Because if she can get the fight to the ground and she can get takedowns. I mean, let's say the thing goes 15 minutes. Can she get two takedowns and let's just say 4 minutes of control time?
Dude, Manon, when she was taken down, like actually taken down, she's open. And Jasmine Jasudavicius can really put it on girls, especially from like submission skills too.
Yeah. Get some questions over here from Discord. Best leverage play. I will tell you this. Luciano, we're looking at from a 9,000 range. I think Luciano is the fighter you look at when you're looking at from a leverage aspect. The 8,000 range, probably Lisboa, maybe Zahabi. I think those would probably be your two ultimate leverage plays in the 8,000 range.
I'm going to throw up with both of them.
In the 7,000 range, do you look at someone like a Santos?
I think, bro, the data likes him because he throws ridiculous. Like, look at, I'll tell you real quick. Santos, 7.2 significant strikes landed per minute with 43% accuracy is 16.7 strikes attempted per minute in comparison to Danny Barlow's 11. So, I mean, that's a lot of volume. That is a lot of volume and aggressiveness.
Now, next up, Tristan's asking about Pest takedown upside. Look, I think you have to look at RDR. I think really sticks out to you right there, just at the top of the page. I would throw Mike Malott, Matt Frevola, if he does end up lacing up those wrestling shoes. Jasmine, I think you got to throw in there as well. Anybody else you would want to throw in there?
No, I mean, I think Bakoyev too, right? Like, he needs to go out there against Belgari and wrestle. So he should get a ton of takedowns. If Bakoyev does not wrestle coming from American Top Team against a kickboxer, I don't know what to tell
you. Yeah. Rank the 9K options. Only got 5 9K options this week.
Yuck. I hate it.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a clear number one for me. I mean, I think
it makes you.
I mean, if Bakoyev takes a wrestling upside, man, you kind of see the upside there. I mean, I would probably say Luciano would be number 5 for me. I would say that she'd be number 5. Okay. Then I'd probably go Dober, Bakoyev, Park, Barlow. It's a lot of, you don't have a lot of faith this week in those numbers.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, real quick. The 9,000 options. Park just got fraud checked against Tattoo or Tyra. First fight back after that. Barlow's up 15 pounds, new weight class. Dober has not looked the greatest, but he definitely doesn't have as many question marks as these other 9,000 options. Luciano, women's MMA, and fighting somebody who's 30 pounds heavier in her previous fight or whatever the hell it was. Bakoyev, fighting a kickboxer who, will he use his wrestling against the kickboxer? So like, there's so many like what ifs. I think Bakoyev might be 1 for me, just because the path, he's not really going up against a true MMA guy. Barlow would be 2. I think I would say Dober would be 3. And then Park and Luciano.
Next question, value plays are 8K and a core 3 on DraftKings. As I look at the under 8,000 range, I mean, I think a lot of people will want to get to Brandon Allen just because of the 5-round nature of that one. Call me crazy, Bruno Silva.
Okay. I don't blame. I don't hate it at all. Would you stack the main?
No, I would not.
Yeah.
I mean, I when you talk about the core 3, I think RDR he's definitely in that core 3.
I mean, probably the best way to get different is avoid the main event this week, but
I'm
having a hard time. I'm having a hard time doing that because I think RDR is just such at a sweet spot.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be tempted in a core 3, and this is taking a lot of value that Bakoyev is going to take a grappling route and not get into a kickboxing matchup with a kickboxer. I might go RDR Bakoyev just as a core 2, and then if I was going to add a 3, I got to try to find some value. Maybe look at Melissa Croden.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, Davey Grant's not a bad underdog from
no.
I think he just keeps doing it.
And think about it, if he goes 15 minutes and it's a fight that just plays out on the feed and it's just a back and forth battle, that maybe even Jourdain's is getting the best. I mean, maybe you sit there and you talk about this all the time. Can you find someone who's going to lose and get you 40, 45 points?
Yeah, it used to be my favorite thing. I just punt. just punt at who's gonna score the best in a loss and not get finished.
Find that low salary out there. Of course, this fight card lock time right now scheduled for 4 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow. Of course, the entire fight card will be on ESPN Plus. Of course, this is next weekend. We got early morning or somewhat early morning mixed martial arts action. We got UFC 321 over there from Abu Dhabi, 10 a.m. start time for the prelims, 2 p.m. for the main card. Hey, during the football season, I always love a little afternoon MMA. It's a little weird this week. I got relatively early MMA, but then FSU doesn't play till 10:30 at night, so it's like vice versa for me this week.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been watching any college, but
tomorrow. That's got off to a great start, and last 3 weeks not so much. But no, tomorrow's a good day of college football. There's some great college games throughout the day, and of course I'll be in Detroit on Monday night. Just looked at the weather last night. It actually doesn't look too bad for a Florida boy. Doesn't look too bad. So look forward to should be a good game on Monday night. Bucks and Lions 7. We're the early Monday game on Monday at 7:00. So we're looking forward to that there in terms of that one. So as always, we appreciate everyone who tunes in for every episode of the podcast. Of course, be sure to check out Pete's Patreon. Of course, a link to that is in the description of this show. Also, the offers that we do have from Stochastic are in there as well. So that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the Fight HQ podcast.